Here's one of the first things we have to do when we approach spirituality, and that is becoming aware of the fact that we actually don't know anything, and that we become clear about what knowing really is. What do we mean when we say we know something? And what is happening when we acquire through different teachings spiritual knowledge? What type of knowledge is that? And how is it actually different from the outcome of our spiritual practice? So, knowing, when we say we know something, we are always saying we know something, how it relates to the things around it, how its relation is to myself, how the relation of that thing or that theory that we have is in relation to what's surrounding this thing. So we might have many different concepts in our mind about our world, about the universe, about our economy, about our relationships with other people. And so we have certain types of information formed into concepts that are really helpful to navigate through our life. But this type of knowledge is very relative. It is only on the relative level giving us an idea of how we actually perceive things in relation to other things, and especially in relationship to our viewpoint. That's always how we interpret things and how we apply our knowledge, through our own lens. But now really comes the interesting part, where when you approach spirituality, the first thing you have to realize and really get a deep understanding of is the realization that we are actually not knowing anything in the truest sense of the word, that we don't know what things are fundamentally, that we don't know the existence of things on the very real level. We can explain them maybe in very detailed descriptions and very detailed theories that are leading us to very interesting insights, but on a fundamental level we are not able to know them for what they are. And so taking, for example, your hand. When you are looking at your hand, you see an object and you immediately know certain aspects about this hand. You know it is connected to your body, you know maybe how it works if you have studied medicine or biochemical things, whatever is your theory of describing what this hand is actually doing, like the cells inside of it, the blood that's flowing through it, maybe the nervous system connection that's controlling its movement. And so we have a lot of relative knowledge about this. But when we approach our hand, for example, from a perspective of deep spiritual knowing, of first of all recognizing that we don't know, then we would, for example, say, okay, this hand, what is it for itself? What is it that I can actually know of it? And how is that process of genuine, real knowing, what would it look like? You want to look at your hand without all concepts, with enough concentration. You will be able to just perceive what is there. And that is the place of not knowing. That is the experience where all conceptual relative knowledge has been taken out of the experience. And usually this conceptual understanding of ours that we are having always present in the background of our experience is really taking away from our day-to-day experience. It's taking out the magic, so to speak, because from our experience we have most of the daily things we see have become so normal to us that we don't see their beauty anymore. We think we know all of this because we have experienced it, and this means coming to a place of not knowing is in and of itself a beautiful practice. And as counterintuitive as it may sound, it is important to recognize that at first, because otherwise we go down a very slippery slope when we approach spirituality. And that is, we look for a lot of teachings, we read many books, we listen to talks from a lot of different teachers, because we have this ingrained belief that more knowledge will bring us what we are seeking. And this is not the case. Knowledge is important. Teachings are important, but they are the pointer to what we are looking for. And I think with this kind of teaching, this approach of not knowing, we greatly reduce the possibility of going down this wrong path of just acquiring more spiritual knowledge and therefore building up our spiritual ego. Because then we really become more in tune with what spirituality might actually be about when we are first approaching it and coming from a place of openness, of not knowing. Actually, when you are grasping that you don't know anything, it is, or it could be considered, enlightenment in and of itself. Because when you realize you don't know anything, that means the present moment that you're experiencing right now is fundamentally mysterious, that it is fundamentally unknowable. Peter Ralston's work, when you dive into it really deeply, it can bring you to that place where you are present in the moment and being able to drop all of your ideas about what you are experiencing. And it makes you laugh, because it's totally obvious from that experience then that beforehand you were deluding yourself all of the time. That the only thing that made you unaware of what's actually going on in the moment was this huge pile of construct in your mental space, of your mental space, or that is your mental space, so to speak, that was like surrounding this very present moment and taking you out of it, taking you away from actually being 100% present and so enlightened, so to speak. What's funny about that experience is nothing changes. You are experiencing the present moment for what it is, outside of time, because time is a construct. Time is something that you think you know, but you actually don't. And it becomes very mysterious, very, very alive, very, very direct, like immediate, like nothing is there that's any distance, that's creating any distance to your experience. Like, it's just there, and you are, like, the concept of you really is not there anymore. Because it's something that you have realized is just some relative knowledge, and not something that you can know in and of itself. I mean, you can know concepts for what they are when you experience them, just in the same way of approaching them from the place of not knowing. Then they might arise, thoughts might arise, and you're approaching them from the same viewpoint as you would approach something that you see for the first time in your life, without any interpretation. But that's more difficult, I feel, than approaching your sensory experience from that place of not knowing. Yeah, that's what I wanted to share. I hope the wind wasn't too strong here and you could understand everything. Please share your thoughts, as always, in the comments. I like to read them. I will answer your comments. See you in the next video. Goodbye.